In the past few months or weeks, it has been completely impossible to hear someone talking about money or the economy without mentioning the fact that there is a looming recession. Most financial advisors and analysts are actually saying that we already are in an economic recession or are already going into one. And while that might be scary, there's a way that you can actually prepare yourself for this. This is not going to be the first or even the last recession that the world has seen. And so in today's episode, I want to just take you through some of the few things that you can do to prepare your finances for a recession and actually be ready for it. So my name is Coach Susan. I'm very happy to have you here on another episode of Finance Friday. So what exactly is a recession? According to the Investopedia dictionary, a recession is actually a significant, widespread, and prolonged downturn in economic activity. And it is usually characterized by weak growth in terms of like output or GDP of most economies. And of course, that comes with a lot of things: high rates of employment, increased interest rates, and all that. So generally, it's almost like the economy is slowing down, and therefore you're going to feel it financially. Loss of jobs, lack of jobs, businesses not doing very well, circulation of money not as vibrant as it used to be. That is exactly what economic recession is. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard of probably like depressions as well. Now, the difference between an economic depression and an economic recession is just the scale. A depression is bigger, in terms of scale and also in terms of duration, but they both just mean the slowing down of an economy. Now, especially here in Kenya, if you've been observing what's been going on, there are so many complaints. I personally am complaining. Like, everything is so expensive. There's very little money. You know, even as inflation continues to increase, it's not like a lot of us have seen an increase in our income or an increase even in the salaries that we are being paid, if at all you're employed, or even in business. Like, the economy is really slow and things are not moving as they have been over the years, right? Now, you could choose to ignore this and bury your head under the sand and pretend it's not happening, or wish it away or hope it away. But guys, it's happening and it's coming whether we like it or not. And the one thing that I love to, or rather that for me has been very important, is recognizing the effects of recessions and even how long they can last. It could last anything from a few months to even 5 years, right? And so when you're thinking about like financial planning for 2023, for instance, you need to take into consideration the fact that maybe, just maybe, the economy will not have recovered, or it could even get worse. Now, in the wake of some of these things, like recessions, for instance, and high inflation rates, rising costs of living, exactly how do you prepare your personal finances in readiness to beat, or rather to, on the bare minimum, be able to live through it as sustainably as you can? That is exactly what I want us to discuss today. Now, the first thing that you need to do is to realize that how the recession will affect you has very little to do with what is happening in the market, because it's gonna be happening to all of us, and everything to do with your money behavior, your money habits, and even how you are choosing to reorganize your finances, right? Now, I'm not saying that the recession is not going to negatively impact us, but over the years, there has been recessions before, and there've been a couple of people who've actually done very well during a recession, and a couple of businesses that completely went under after the recession. Now, So the most important thing is to first of all recognize that we cannot control this. This is not something that we can wish away or we can do away with. So what then can you control? You can control yourself. So, and that's why I want us today to discuss, like, if I'm aware that tough financial times are ahead and there's really nothing I can do about it in terms of like in the macroeconomic level. So what exactly can I control? The first thing that I would recommend is that you sit down with yourself and have a very serious review of your finances. I'm not talking about making mental notes. I'm not talking about just, putting down a little bit something. No, I mean a thorough audit of your personal finances. This needs to be something that you've actually set aside time to do, get rid of all distractions, and take a very honest look at your finances. Are you earning? What are your sources of income? That's the most important thing, because how will we survive when we do not have sources of income, or when at least we've not reviewed where is our money coming from? So why do you want to look at your sources of income? Because you want to look at, okay, is there something I can do? Do I just have one source of income? And if you've been on this channel before, you have heard me say this time and time again. And it's not meant to scare us. It's just supposed to help us to be mentally in a space to think outside of the box. The truth is that one source of income is actually too close to none, guys. So when you're thinking, okay, my only source of income today is this employer or this business, you might want to allow your brain to go to a place where you are now asking, okay, if something was to happen to my job or to my business, remember we are thinking recession, right? Recession comes with unemployment. It comes with layoffs, okay? It comes with crashing businesses. If at all I am affected, do I have a plan B? Do I have a backup plan? You may not have one right now, but it's a good thing to start thinking about. While you're still reviewing your finances, evaluate your spending habits. Every time I talk to people or a person or a client and they do not have a budget, I shudder, right? Because where's your money going, guys? How do you know what you're spending and on what exactly? How do you plan? Right? So it's very important that you analyze, like, guys, you cannot take mental notes of your spending habits. So whether you're doing it on a notebook or you're doing it on a tracker or you're doing it on an Excel, you need a budget. Without a budget, it's very difficult for you to actually evaluate how much you're spending. Right? So why do you want to evaluate your spending habits? Because you want to come up with a bare bones budget. What is a bare bones budget? A bare bones budget is a bare minimum budget where you're like, okay, if things get really, really bad, this is the kind of budget I would be operating in. So you compare your sources of income and then your bare minimum budget and see, can you actually weather the storm, right? So you need to be aware of your spending habits. Like today, I'm so aware of my spending habits, guys, that I know for a fact if things were really to be, to go bad, like I know exactly what I would cut. I already have like a needs list and a wants list. Obviously, if things get really bad, I am definitely attacking the wants list and removing as many things from that budget as much as possible. But when most people do not know the exact figures, like how much money went to entertainment last month, how much money did you give away, do you track your M-Pesa or bank transaction charges, like that? Those are the things that will make you aware, okay, this is exactly where my money is going, and in preparation for a tough financial time, this is what I will remove, this is what I will reduce, right? Or this is what I will completely do away with, okay? The third thing you want to look at when you're doing the review of your finances, obviously, is to look at your debt. If you're in debt, you want to try as much as possible to get rid of the high interest debt. Of course, we are talking the mobile loans and some of the bank loans that we have. Like, arrange your debts in such a way, like you've done it in order of priority, and you've done it in order of, okay, this is the debt that would give me the most headache if I lost my job, or if we got into an economic recession and the economy is really, really slow, so that you can start thinking, how do I actually service this debt as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible? You also want to stay out of bad debt. Now is not the time. According to me, it is not the time to make big money moves in terms of like debt. Okay, because you remember, we are asking, okay, what if there's actually a recession, or what if we are already in one right now? Would I really want to take on more debt than what I already have? Am I sure that this thing I'm taking debt for will sustainably pay for itself or repay the debt, for that matter? So you want to be careful making big money moves and taking more debt, especially in the wake of a recession. You might want to look at whether you are in a deficit or in an excess. That is, of course, after you've done your budget. And if you find that you've actually been operating in a deficit, you want to eliminate that, guys. Right now, it may look like fun and games, but when things really get tough, you will have wished that you actually sat down and completely eliminated the deficit. That just means live within your means. If you earn 50,000, let all of your your needs and your wants and your expenses be able to be catered to by that 50,000. Don't be out here living like someone who earns 100K when you only just earn 50. Live within your means. Okay? So that's the first thing. Review your finances and have a very clear picture of where you are at right now. That's the most important thing. Okay? The second thing you want to do is to start an emergency fund if you don't already have one. Or if you already have one, you might want to bump it up and fund it aggressively. I'll take you back to what we are talking about. It's a recession, slow economic growth, low on money. Businesses are not doing very well. You may or may not lose your job, okay? We really do not know. So if I was preparing for a recession, the most important thing that I would look at is how long can my emergency fund last me? Now, most financial advisors will recommend 6 to 12 months, okay? So if you don't already have one, just start slowly, a little at a time, okay? Build a 1-month emergency fund. An emergency fund is an account that has an amount that can sustain your total living expenses for the duration that you desire, okay? So we are working with 6 to 12 months because we want to assume that if today my business went under, or if someone lost their job, you're trying to ask yourself, how long would it take you to get back on your feet? You still want to be able to make your debt repayments, you still want to be able to take care of your day-to-day financial obligations. So you need an amount that equals your that equals the total monthly expenses or total monthly obligations you have to take care of. Now, I know guys have emergency funds. Like, you have an account somewhere that you know is your emergency fund, or you opened one, but you guys are not funding it. Like, I talk to so many of my clients, and I'm not generalizing, of course, it's just that I coach a lot of people, and because of that, I've noticed a trend. Like, we open these accounts out of excitement, and we probably fund them the first maybe couple of months, but then you lose the momentum or the psyche. You might want to go back there. I mean, you guys let me know in the comment section how many of us need to go back to funding our emergency funds. Like, we know the account is open, or we have an account somewhere that we've decided this is my emergency fund, but you've not funded it for a while. Please go back to it. It might be literally your saving grace one of these fine days, okay? The third thing you might want to do is to actually, especially if you've been actively investing, whether that is in real estate, in stocks, in forex, whatever tickles your fancy. If you have been investing, you might want to reevaluate the risk you are actually taking with your money. Okay? Your risk tolerance is very important. There is no such thing as a risk-free investment. We only just have low risk, medium risk, and high risk, right? So you might want to check, now that I'm trying to prepare for a recession, would I really want to expose my money in such a way, or rather in some of these investments that could potentially mean, or rather they have a level of risk that could cause me to lose a large portion or even all of my money? I would look into more low risk to medium risk investments right now, as of course we wait to see how the economy will behave, and generally how things are going to turn out. The most important thing is to just ensure that whatever risk you're taking is okay with you. I'm not just saying don't do high risk investments. What I'm saying is that do investments having in mind that we could be getting into a slowdown, because that's exactly what economic recession really is. So the stock market since 2020 has not been doing well. It's quite literally been crashing. If you're a stock market investor in Kenya or even in global markets, you know that, right? Some of these accounts we are seeing negatives, and that's normal, right? Because it cycles. That's just how economies behave. But then right now in this moment, with the little money that I have, am I taking most of it in high risk investments? Absolutely not. I'm hoarding, I'm saving, I'm putting my money where the risk of losing my capital is on a bare minimum, because I would like to be liquid enough to weather the storm. Okay? And then, of course, you want to invest in upskilling and monetizing the things you are unnatural at. I've talked about this in a video before. I will probably link it down below on how you can actually look at inflation and deal with inflation, because inflation is upon us, guys. The cost of living is currently insane, yeah? And one of the most efficient ways to deal with inflation, as much as cutting our costs is helpful, it is not sustainable if the period of high inflation continues for a very long time. Okay? So you want to think more sources of income. You want to think actively, how can I make more money? Okay? And so for me, the easiest place to start, and I get this question so many times on my platforms. Hi coach, I have X amount of money. Which business do you recommend? I tell people the best place to start is to look at your skills, to look at your expertise, to look at the things you are a natural at, right? And try see which of these things can I monetize. No idea is too small to monetize, guys. Increase your sources of income. Whether that is gonna be baking in the weekends for you, it's an additional source of income. Whether that's gonna be babysitting or whatever it is that you like to do, that is still an additional source of income. This is the most effective way to beat long periods of inflation. Make more money, because the cost of living is increasing. We have to keep up with the cost of living, so we have to make more money. Think about how you can start upskilling. There are so many courses online that are free. There are so many YouTube channels that talk about monetizing different skills, photography, coaching and consulting, like what I'm doing. There's so much if you're intentional in looking. All right. The other thing that you can do to prepare your finances for a recession is to actually have a solid financial plan and to stick with it even with changing times. One of the things that I love to tell people is that in a day and age where opinions stay changing, one day we wake up on Twitter and the experts are saying this, and the other day we wake up and this is the recommendation that is being given, it's very easy to get distracted. I love to ask people, before you ask anyone, what do I do with this money or where do I invest? First of all, ask yourself, what do I want? While you're thinking, I need to prepare for a recession, ask yourself, what do I want? Some of the things I would look at is, I want to have a roof over my head, come what may, with or without a job. I would like my children to still be able to go to school. I would like to be able to afford A, B, C, D. I would like to retire early. Like, actually list those things down. And then ask yourself, how can I actually get there? Some of us need to just do the bare minimum, guys. Just stop overthinking this whole thing and find out, do I actually have savings? Right? Because most of these things need to be saved up for. Before you start with the big scary investments, do you actually have savings? Is your emergency fund in place? Is your school fees fund in place? Those are the things that you want to look at. So have a solid financial plan. Like, there's what I have planned to do. Like, one of the things I've been doing this year is to be on a go slow in terms of my spending. I've done so many no spend challenges. If you don't already know that and you don't follow me on Instagram, you might want to do that, because I talk a lot about no spend challenges. I actually have an ongoing accountability group. It's already closed. We are not taking any more people, but I might run another one in the near future. So follow me on Instagram at susan.wanjiko_ so that you can learn more. I post a lot of content there, pretty much almost on a daily basis. I've gone on so many of those no spend challenges. Like, on this particular month, I decide I'm gonna make my hair from home. On this other particular month, I decide I will go slow on eating out or ordering in. I started meal prepping so that I don't have to buy food in restaurants. Like, those are some of the things I'm doing. Why? Because I'm stacking up money. I want to save as much as I can right now. I want to invest as much as I can right now. And for me, one of the things I've been doing is I've significantly reduced my spending in the past few months. On top of that, I am also aggressively looking for additional ways to make more money, right? Just within my business model. And that's one of the things I tell business people. You don't have to start a different business. You can just see within your existing business model, how can you generate different sources of income? So, I'm earning from YouTube. I'm earning from consulting and coaching. I'm earning from training companies. I'm earning from selling digital products, hosting group masterclasses. Like, all of those things, I'm on a roll, guys, to just see how can I maximize my earnings. Okay, if you decide that in the next 6 months, your plan is to actually get rid of a debt that if you really focus on it, you can be able to get rid of it, then do that. So that's all I'm saying. Have a solid financial plan and stick to it, regardless of what everyone is saying, regardless of the changing times. Stick to your plan. Guys, when you don't have a plan, every new wave carries you with it. Okay? And finally, guys, this may sound cliche and like it is obvious, but it isn't. Spend less, weigh less, and save more. You will survive a recession. We all will. If you just have it in your mind that in this season, as the economy is going on a go slow, I am also gonna go on a go slow in terms of spending, then you actually go on steroids in terms of your savings and investments. And even if you can earn as much money as you can, you will survive a recession. Okay, so I hope that these tips were helpful. In case you have any additional tips, like how you guys thinking about the recession, what is on your mind in terms of this is going to be my survival strategy, let me know in the comment section. In case you have any questions, you know what to do. Please drop them down in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like this video, to share it, and to turn on your notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of Finance Friday.